Hello everybody, it's Mike Levin, SEO of Inwood, in the woods at Inwood. Here you can see there's some caves up there. Not a lot of people know that Manhattan has actual, genuine, prehistoric caves that the Native Americans were allegedly supposed to have hung out at, and these days we've got a, I believe, Korean War veteran named Sabas who hangs out there, something of a colorful local character, wearing a poncho, floating down the river. Yep, totally serious. So I'm giving Cecil one of his longer, vigorous walks when he's not stubbornly stopping and wanting to sniff stuff. Lots of dogs have passed these ways, and as you can see, it's autumn and the trails are pretty much leaf covered. I haven't really been out here in the woods during the peak of autumn when the leaves are coming down. It will be interesting to see how the Parks Department handles that. I don't suppose, see, there's even some tiles here. I don't suppose it's allowed to decompose and compost in place. That would not be very good for the pavement underneath. And this is kind of fairly well maintained. It's not like it's, let's see if I can show you that here. It's not like it's a road, but there is a curb here, and there is blacktop patio. And this used to be part of an estate, the foundations of which can still be found in the woods, most often at the upper levels. I'm walking along the lower path here, and the world is split into two. The top of the hill, up above the caves, up above sort of a cliff that runs through the park here, and the lower trails, which are easy to get to, are connected by the soccer field, the tennis court, and behind the dog run. And there's a bunch of trails in and out of the, a bunch of paths in and out of the trails at the lower portion of the park that's easy to get to. And just like my Cecil loop up on Isham Park, the other local park in the area, I have a loop that I do. There are easy loops. So if I do his quick walk in the morning, it's one way. If I do his rigorous walk, it's another. And each of those has tiny variations too, so that we all get the exercise we need. And it feels just like walking a loop, but you can get lost in these woods. It's actually kind of crazy. The trails are winding. And there are trails that are hardly even really trails, just worn pathways that are not paved, crisscrossing the park with all sorts of secret and climby ways between the highlands and the lowlands. Because it's a cliff, there's not really a lot of easy ways to get back and forth between the two trail areas. One of them is way down around by where Columbia painted its big blue sea, but on our side it's like the jogger's trail. It narrows, it winds up, it goes under the bridge up there, and I believe it's the Hudson Bridge. And then that you can cut left sharply and not follow the curve of the island, and then you can end up at the trails at the top of the cliff. If you follow the trail of the islands, you end up near Dyckman Fields. But if you walk that high trail all the way through along the top of the cliff and don't get off at Dyckman Fields, you can eventually cut back down sort of diagonally in front of the cliff in a extremely poorly maintained but exceptionally unusual path, which is one of the few ways from the highlands back to the lowlands. And so it's well worn, it's wide, and it's one of the only paths that you could like bring a baby stroller. I ran into a couple up there and they were like, oh, how do I get out? And I'm like, well, the easiest way is down this crazy rough path here, and then you just bear right and get off at one of the many park exits. And they did it with a baby stroller, even though it's like not repaved. It's not like these paths. It's chopped up concrete that clearly, or blacktop or paving, whatever, that clearly someone's going to have to make a decision about soon whether that stuff gets maintained like all the other roads or paths here in the park. I think some people believe to let them deteriorate and let nature reclaim and let it just be a foot-worn trail, and other people would like to see it paved and maintained sort of like the way it was in the days that there were estates up here. So anyway, I've got a little cleanup work to do, so I will stop recording. Maybe next time I'll talk more about my programming. But if there's any interest in learning about this interesting neighborhood, I live up here, the path less traveled, 2 ways parted in the woods, yada yada, just leave comments. I'd be happy to do more videos that sort of highlight and zero in on interesting aspects of this unusual neighborhood up here, Inwood, at the tippy top of Manhattan. Well, anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you soon, and don't forget to subscribe.